So if you live in the state of Maryland and you're looking to start a food business from home, this video will be something you might want to watch. All right, so I want to get into how Maryland's Cottage Food Law can allow you to create food products from home and make a good side business starting it, and then, of course, looking to grow and develop into a commercial business. The Cottage Food Laws are a fantastic way to get food entrepreneurs up and running and get them started using just their own home kitchen. So this video, I'm going to talk about Maryland Cottage Food Law, and then a little bit about what you can and can't sell. And then down in the descriptions, I'll give you a handful of links that you can dig a little deeper into what is allowed and, of course, what you would need to get up and running. Maryland actually has a pretty interesting law in place, to be honest with you, about selling foods through your home kitchen. Now, you are allowed to sell up to $25,000 a year through Maryland's Cottage Food Law, which is actually not that bad as a side business, just bringing in some additional income, if you will. But it's also what's really most important about these types of businesses from home is to give food entrepreneurs and small business entrepreneurs the opportunity to really take a shot at running a business from home and then see if it's really something you want to invest more time or money into, which is a great idea. Of course, as you may or may not know, my wife and I started our business. We started very small as well. We started locally and did from our home and had a few items that we sold. And we also did some charitable events and those types of things in the community, and then realized that we could turn it into a business. And now we are online, and then we've got a handful of stores that we do business with through the internet, and we've had a really great successful run at it. But it does take work. Don't get me wrong. This is not something that is an overnight business to be successful doing, just like any small business. So let's hop right into it. So Maryland, I'm going to give you a list of a little bit of the foods that you can actually make. Now remember, Cottage Food Law in general, pretty much throughout every state, is about the same in regards to the following. You cannot produce a potentially hazardous food product, which would be like a time or temperature sensitive product from home. That is something that would require a different licensing, a different facility, basically all around different approach, okay? And that's relatively the same across many, many states that have cottage food laws. You've got to create things that are also shelf stable to the point where if you make them within a couple of days, you need to get them sold and get to customers' hands. Not necessarily something that would have any requirement of special refrigeration. If it has to be frozen, heated up, or kept at a high temperature, for instance, those are prohibited. But that doesn't leave you high and dry. That definitely gives you an opportunity to still produce quite a few different items. So I'm going to give you a rundown of what's generally allowed. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, definitely check out those links. I'll put in the description. Those are going to go directly to some web pages on Maryland, the state of Maryland's website, that'll give you some more guidance. And they're fantastic. They have some really great resources. So when you want to get into muffins and brownies, cakes and rolls and biscuits and such, cookies and scones, those are perfectly fine. Keep in mind, though, some of these variations of these products, you can't have cheese on top, for instance, or you can't have like a meat or something that's put into the top or inside the product, because, again, that would be considered a potentially hazardous ingredient because of the fact that it could create bacteria if it's not kept at a certain temperature. So just keep that in mind. Brittles and candies are fine as well. Dry goods such as spices and seasonings, which is a huge market, and they sell very, very well, and they are very shelf stable no matter the temperature, pretty much, when it comes to spices and seasonings. Those are great products that you can sell at farmers markets and local events. Teas and herbs, pastries and pies, but again, just keep in mind what you have inside of those pastries and pies, just that it's not something that, again, has to be refrigerated, okay? It's a time or temperature issue. Snacks. Now, this is a huge one, like caramel corns, granola, popcorn, marshmallows, crackers and pretzels and such are fine. Now, the list that is prohibited would be things such as salsas, sauces, ketchups and oils, juices, meat jerkies and such, extracts, anything fermented or like pickled. You cannot do that only because there's, again, a certain type of license that the state would need you to apply for. Plus, there be also a lot of states do certain types of educational programs and certificate programs that you must take in order so you to understand the handling of acidic foods, things that have acids on them, because bacteria and such can form very easily, okay? So that's something you want to just keep in mind. Now, if you're doing like chocolate-covered products, okay? If it happens to be chocolate, like dried fruit, some people coat dried fruits or crackers or pretzels even, you have to use what's known as commercially manufactured chocolate. So this can't be a chocolate that you're necessarily making yourself, but it has to be commercially produced. Also, when it gets into what I mentioned above about spice blends or baking mixes or teas, that's fine, but they do also require you to use processed ingredients that are made in a commercial facility. So they know that those have been handled properly and they've been processed properly, so you don't want to get anybody sick, okay? And again, these videos really quick. I'm giving you some great, really quick tidbits of information, and then find out much, much more in the description section on more detailed information. Now, really quick, let's get into what the limitations are, because like with any cottage food business in most states, they limit you either to the sales or they'll limit you to the type of direct sale that you can do, or any type of commercial kitchen equipment that you can't use. So there's some limitations. So for one, interstate sales, that's known as interstate sales, sales that are actually selling a product from, let's say, Florida to Georgia. Okay, if you lived in Florida, okay. If you're in Maryland, you can't sell to New York. Okay, so those are interstate sales. Those are something that's prohibited. They can't cross state lines. They do have, of course, like I mentioned before, the limit of sales amount, which is $25,000. They do also require that the sale itself, when you transact a sale with someone, you have to do it in person. So it has to be a direct sale. So you can't necessarily go to a restaurant and say, hey, I make a great spice blend, let's say, and it's a steakhouse, and you want to sell that product to a restaurant that they're going to use it and then sell it to their customers. That is something that you can't do. It has to be specifically direct sales. So do keep that in mind as well, which, again, it doesn't limit you to the point where you can't attend a lot of these farmers markets or events locally, set up a booth and make some money. So don't get discouraged by the idea, but test it out and see if it's really something you want to pursue, okay? Now, commercial kitchen, of course, is prohibited. The idea of utilizing a commercial kitchen and bringing stuff back to your home and then mixing it or making it, then reselling again, that's something you have to necessarily use and utilize a home-based kitchen 100%. Now, in some states, this is also something that you would check into, and I'm going to give you some links for this specifically, but sales tax, okay? Some states actually don't require sales tax for people who utilize or leverage the Cottage Food Law. Some states do, okay? And again, Maryland may require that. I'm actually going to give you a link specifically for that. In some states, you can actually sell products that you're not required by the state to collect sales tax and then remit it to the state. Some states do. So it varies. It's not really a clear shot across the board for every single state. Now, when you label your food products that are from home, it is slightly different than what is required for labeling, for instance, for a retail product, the guidance that's set up by the FDA. So the following labeling requirements are something that's different when it comes to cottage food. So the allergens is, yes, something that you need to put on there. You need to put allergens such as, contains milk or egg or wheat or soy or something to that effect. The business address, where is it being made? That would actually be your home. Now, there's a lot of clients that I've spoken with that I've done consulting for that look to start businesses from home, and they're not comfortable with the idea of putting their address. Well, unfortunately, if the state requires it, you have to put that on there. Now, does that necessarily mean you have to sell it from your home and have people come there and collect their products? No. That's not necessarily what it means. They just want to know that if someone happens to get sick or something happens, you want to know where was the product made from. Okay. Now, also the ingredients. You need to have the ingredients on there. Everything from, the flour, if it happens to be cookies or something, baking soda, salt, eggs, vanilla extract, that type of stuff. You need to make sure that your ingredient listing is current and accurate with what you're making the product from. Now, also the product name. So, and I use this example because it's always the most simplest one, but if you're making like sugar cookies, you want to make sure that the box says sugar cookies on it. So obviously the customer knows they're buying sugar cookies and not something else. Lastly, you have to have a statement in Maryland, a disclaiming statement. And this is actually just a statement that says more or less that the kitchen that the product is being produced in is uninspected by the state, okay, that doesn't have any specific inspections that are done, and it's made at home, so that the consumer knows that it's not something that's bought at the store and then resold. They know that you're actually the one making it, So you want to definitely make sure that your label have those bits of ingredients. And what I'm going to do again, I'm going to wrap it up really quick. I wanted to just bring this real brief information to you, and I'm going to show you down in the descriptions. Just click on some of those links to find out more about your specific area. Keep in mind that cities and counties, this is a really interesting point that many states vary. Cities and counties will vary on the type of licensing and permits. Okay, the state can say one thing, and then the local county or city you live in may require additional either inspections or maybe additional type of certifications. That's different. So check with your specific city and county and find out exactly what it is they're going to require from you. Okay? So if this video was helpful, as always, please do give me a big thumbs up. And if you have questions about Maryland's cottage food law, always drop me a note or a question down in the comments section, and I'll get to it as soon as possible. And I will see you guys on the next video. Thank you, guys. Take care.